to the Binge List. I am your host, Paul Chappell, and we are recapping Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 7, Chapter 15, The Believer. And I'm going to rip this episode a new one because there were so many frustrating things about this episode. Now, taken as a whole, it was pretty entertaining. If you just turn off your brain and you don't think about it again after you watch it, you'll be fine. But for me, I have to criticize these episodes. I have to find the flaws because that's what I do. And none of it made any sense when I thought about it more than 2 minutes. It really didn't. But let's start with the plot. The plot is that Mando needs Bill Burr. Yes, Bill Burr, the comedian, is back. After insulting all the white women in America on Saturday Night Live, he is back.
White women swung their Gucci-booted feet over the fence of oppression and stuck themselves at the front of the line.
And I thought, wow, I really love that he's on this show, but I'm not sure they really need him. I mean, do they really need him? Really? So we find out in short order, Cara Dune arrives. She picks Bill Burr out of a scrapyard, and he is confronted by Mando. Mando tells him he wants to track the coordinates of Moff Gideon, and Bill Burr kind of scoffs at first. You know, what's in it for me? That's a good question to ask if you're a prisoner, right? What is in it for me? And this is the first WTF moment in the episode. I was just like, I could not believe this was happening. They says, well, we're not going to give you anything in return. We're usually going to get a better view. Cara Dune actually says that. What does that even mean, a better view? A better prison? I guess is what she was meaning, but Bill Burr doesn't even follow up with what is probably the most important decision that's going to be in his life currently, because he's been given like a 50-year sentence. But Bill Burr says, okay, I'll help you guys, but to track Moff Gideon, I need access to an Imperial terminal. So I said, okay, that's why they needed him, because he used to be some kind of Imperial sharpshooter. Yes, there are Imperials that sharpshoot, which is kind of weird, because according to this show, none of the Imperials can shoot a broadside out of a barn. So, of course, Bill Burr directs them to a secret Imperial base on a planet called Morak. Okay, here again, I have to ask the question: does the New Republic just suck? Why are there so many freaking Imperial bases, and why does everybody seem to know where they are? I mean, it seems like the Imperial or the Empire they're just operating like they always have been in this universe. Every episode, there's another Imperial base that they're coming across and infiltrating pretty easily. It seems like them, you know, if you can take 3 people as they did in one episode and just totally take over a base of Imperials, it seemed like it would be fairly easy for the New Republic to do the same thing, right? Last season, you kind of got the idea that the stormtroopers were kind of ragtag. I mean, remember we see some stormtroopers working for this client that hires Mando, and they look worse for wear. But this season, we keep coming across these remnants of the Empire where all the stormtroopers are just doing their daily job. They have shiny uniforms and all of that. And I just don't understand what's going on here. They need to invade the Imperial base every episode. It's getting kind of redundant. But I just thought the New Republic has to really suck really badly for so many bases to still be active. And in fact, Boba Fett scans the planet before they even get there, and he's able to sum up the defenses of the place. And I'm like, they can scan it from space? This secret Imperial base? They can scan it from space? Why is the New Republic doing something about this? It makes no freaking sense. Okay, so I'm not even 5 minutes into this episode and none of it makes sense. So let's go on. So they land on the planet And they scope it out, and these vehicles are transporting some kind of explosive called rhydonium. I think it's how you pronounce it, rhydonium. It's highly explosive, and for some reason, the Empire needs this. They're mining it. No one ever explains why. Maybe they need it for bombs. I don't know. I'm just assuming that they don't really explain it. But here's the thing. The transports are wheeled vehicles. Why are they in wheeled vehicles? We find out later that any little bump can set this explosive material out. They have to drive really slow. But again, I ask, why do they need wheeled vehicles when everything in this universe hovers? Everything. Why do they need wheeled vehicles? It makes no sense from any standpoint. Okay, so they take over a transport, of course, and Mando and Mayfield, the character Bill Burr is playing, they're driving along, and they see some other vehicles that have already been destroyed. And there's about a local population. These alien-looking green things show up. They attack the vehicles. Now here again, I'm wondering when they're attacking this vehicle, why don't these highly volatile vehicles with explosives, the only reason the Imperials are on this planet is to mine this rhydonium, and yet they don't have any escorts. And we find out later in the episode, they have TIE fighters at this base, and they have plenty of personnel at this base. They have hundreds of stormtroopers, it looked like, or at least dozens of stormtroopers. So why don't they escort these transports? And why are they open to attack by these indigenous rebels? Okay, so Mando and Mayfield have to defend the transport against these rebels who are trying to blow it up. And supposedly they're a ragtag group of individuals, yet they have hovercrafts, which the stormtroopers don't have themselves. But they have hovercrafts and thermal detonators, but they don't have blasters, which again makes no sense. They're advanced enough to have hovercrafts, thermal detonators, but they fight with spears. Just let that sink in for a moment. Anyway, Mando manages to kill like 30 guys. Seriously, he kills 30 rebels. And these are the good guys. Remember, they're trying to blow up an Imperial transport. So technically, they are the good guys. And yet Mando ends up killing 30 of them, mainly because he has a blaster and they don't. Oh boy. So they get to the base and they're dressed up like stormtroopers. I probably should mention that. They go into the base, and for some reason, there's only a terminal in the officers' mess hall. Okay. Seemed like there would be a terminal in the hangar. But no, they have to make it a little bit challenging, I guess, for the character. So they put it in the officers' mess hall. Bill Burr goes into the mess hall and he sees one of the commanders sitting at one of the tables is someone he used to serve under. His name is Valen Hess. He tells Mando, I can't go in there. This guy knows me, or, you know, he could identify me. So Mando goes in himself to access this terminal, which we have been led to believe that only Bill Burr knows how to operate. And yet Mando's able to operate it with no problem. So essentially, they did not need Bill Burr in the first place. He basically could have told him, "Look, you need to access one of those terminals in the base, and put him back in prison." Basically, totally useless. So Mando goes to the terminal. He takes off his helmet. Again, this is the only reason they set this up this way, because they wanted Mando to take off his helmet sometime during the season, just like they did last season. He only did it one time last season. He's only going to do it one time this season. He has to take off his helmet so that the terminal scans his face. Okay, but here's the problem. This database, this terminal, whatever, needs to scan a face for access, but it doesn't verify his security clearance. So making the face scan itself pretty useless. Why does it scan his face? Again, it seems to me like the whole reason having Bill Burr come along on this infiltration is because maybe, just maybe, because he used to be Imperial, he still has security clearance. But as this episode shows us, no, it just needs a random face scan to access it. Again, this makes no sense. It's lazy writing. What good is a face scan if there is no verification? Is what I'm asking. And they never explain. So again, they're about to leave, and the officer speaks to Mando and Bill Burr, who I forget why he's in the room suddenly, but he sits them down, and of course he doesn't recognize Bill Burr. He starts acting them up. Oh, I know why he comes into the room, because the officer starts questioning Mando, and of course he can't answer any of the officer's questions, and Bill Burr comes in at the last moment and saves them from this interrogation, and the officer makes them sit down for some reason so he can talk to them about the New Republic. And he gives this whole law and order speech, and I guess it pisses off Bill Burr so much that he just pulls out his gun and shoots the guy for no reason. I mean, they could have easily just walked away, but Bill Burr just decides to shoot him out of the blue, just so this episode can have a little bit more action, because that's what this show is all about, right? Action. So he does something that's totally unmotivated by shooting this officer, and they have to escape. They go out a window. That gives Fennec and Cara Dune, something to shoot at. They're shooting at stormtroopers. Boba Fett swoops in, and they jump on the slave one, and they fly away, and everything's grand. Yay! They got the information they need, and of course they let Bill Burr walk away. Cara Dune says, you know what? I think he died during this mission. I guess that's what she's going to tell the New Republic. So, yeah, there's that. Here's my last problem with this episode. Let me get a good swig before we go into it. Bill Burr on a planet that doesn't really have much infrastructure that I can see, except for those rebels with their own hovercrafts. He says, well, if y'all are going to let me leave, I'm going to just leave. Okay? And remember, Bill Burr is pale as they come. He's going to need at least some sunscreen before he leaves. But he doesn't ask for anything. No food, no water, no money, nothing. He just walks away. Walks away into the jungle. A jungle, I have to mention, that should have been on Corvus, which wasn't on Corvus. Remember, one of my problems with that episode where they go to Corvus is it's supposed to be a forest planet, and yet there was no forest. And this planet is very tropical. But we're led to believe that pasty ass Bill Burr goes into the woods without asking anybody for anything. And that's how the episode ends. Actually, the real way the episode ends is that for some reason Mando makes a threat to Moff Gideon over a hollow link, and that was another WTF, because why are you telling Moff Gideon you want the child back? Doesn't he already know that? Why are you threatening this guy? He's going to just triple his security now, knowing that you're after him. Nothing in this episode made any sense. It was basically a bunch of filler. They basically killed a bunch of people, good and bad, to get the coordinates of this ship, which may just leave at any moment. Especially since Mando has already threatened Moff Gideon. Wouldn't they just pick up stakes and leave for wherever he tracked them down? Yeah. So, as you can probably tell, I did not like the logic of this episode. Very entertaining, but there was no logic to it. Also, if we're talking about Easter eggs, which I don't even want to bother with this episode, but if we're talking about Easter eggs, there was an Office Space joke. Bill Burr mentions to the officer something about having to do his TPS reports. And yeah, we were supposed to chuckle at that. Office Space is something like 21 years old. Does anybody under 30 know what Office Space is? I mean, I'm assuming that most people watching this show are within that age range, 20 to 30. So, of course, there are some people that would recognize what Office Space is, but I don't see why make an Office Space joke in a Star Wars episode. Most people are not going to understand it, and it wasn't even that funny. But anyway, that's it. That's all I got for today. If you're disappointed in this review, you're not alone. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Give me a like, dislike, whatever. Ring that bell if you're already a subscriber so you know when my next video drops. And I will see you when I see you. Thanks for watching.